Looking to hack self-discipline in simple and a practical way? This one is for you. Welcome to Mind Sculpture Project Episode 3. My name is Issa. I'm a full-time professional working in the construction industry on my path to become a project manager. And in this journey, I'm trying to learn and adapt the mindsets of high performers. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about 3 simple steps you can adapt to hack self-discipline. So without further ado, let's get into it. 3 simple steps, 3 simple names. Step number 1, getting started. Step number 2, picking it up after a mess up. Step number 3, sacrifice for betterment. I know it sounds like really bad song titles. Bear with me, I'm gonna explain everything in the coming minutes. The biggest problem with self-discipline is actually getting started. And in my personal experience and everything I've seen so far or witnessed, I've actually picked up 3 main reasons why people have a hard time with self-discipline. And the number 1 reason is the environment. And the number 2 is actually figuring out why they want to do it. And number 3 is when they want to do it. So I'll break it down. First things first, I'll give you an example. The example of myself. When I first wanted to start doing different projects on my own time while doing a full-time job, let me paint you a picture. I will wake up early morning, just get ready, have a long commute, and then go to work. And I will go through a day, and I'm pretty sure anyone doing it, no matter what sector you are at, all of you have chaotic jobs. In my personal experience in construction, my job's been many days chaotic than not. About 90% chaotic. So it's almost guaranteed that you're going to have a day that's going to take a lot of energy out of you. And then at the end of the day, I have a long commute back home. And when I get home, I'm done. So this used to be a routine for me. So when I get home, obviously, I'm not going to sit down and think about doing something else when I didn't have any idea about why I want to do it, what I want to do, how I want to do. All I care about is just switching on the TV or my laptop, watching some anime, One Piece or Naruto, good stuff. And then just lay on my bed. Simple as that. Because I've already spent all my energy at work, I have nothing left, and I'm just worried about getting some short-term pleasure because that's all I want. I just want a little dopamine hit so that I can forget everything else, the fact that I have to go back to this environment or whatever that is in my head. I would just be able to forget all that, and for a few hours, I'll be just in my own head doing whatever I feel happy, even for that little time. So then this and having the understanding this is what was happening and wanting to understand my why and why am I trying to do something, why I want to learn something, why I want to do something in my own time. This actually helped me a lot. And the fact that having that why is the most important thing is underrated. I believe a lot of people, when I say why, would think like, well, for example, I want to go to the gym because I want to lose weight. But I'm not talking about that why that you have on the surface. I'm talking about taking a deep dive. So why do you want to lose weight? Did somebody say something to you, or is it like your insecurity? So if you've been insecure about it, then why you being insecure about it? And deeply understanding why exactly are you trying to do this change that requires you to have self-discipline. Having the deeper the understanding you have about it, the better for you. And this was one of the biggest reasons, understanding the why. And the second one is the environment. So obviously when I wanted to make changes and I come home, and if I were doing the same things where I would sit down in front of the computer, as soon as I get home, I would open it up, watch anime series. That would, if I don't make that change, if I didn't make any changes where I would cut that routine and interrupt that routine with either doing some exercise in between, or like taking a shower, sitting somewhere else, or take a quick nap and get up, whatever I gotta do. But if I don't change that, I'm always in the same environment. It's hard for me to change what I'm doing and create self-discipline for something new, because these are habits that's just running on its own. And that's the second one. And the third one is what time. So When I come home in the evening, as I just explained, I'm very tired. So if I keep anything that's gonna need a lot of energy, at the end of the day, that is almost a guarantee that I'm not gonna do it. Because if I spend all my energy in the day to do whatever I gotta do to get through the day, and I come home and I have not much left, then obviously I would look at a task which is too much. It requires a lot of energy. No, I'm not gonna do it. So to tackle this, I try to learn and understand why. And I've understood my personal why in a deeper level. This is not just about me, it's about the people around me and the way I see myself as someone I need to become a provider, and the fact that I had a few things that I figured out about myself from my past, and how I want to take responsibility now for my life, which is why this is more important to me that I do something and I don't just stick with one job and just that's it. I want to build something of my own and I have a whole understanding. So it's not that hard for me to understand why this is important for me, what I'm trying to do. That's my why. And my environment, like I just mentioned briefly, I would do different things. I would change it up so that I can build new habits, and that way I have kind of hacked the way I do things. And thirdly, about the timing, I've changed my time from having to do this work at the evening. I would rather do the work in the mornings. So I would go to sleep about an hour or whatever the time I need to go to sleep earlier, and I will wake up early so that I'll be able to tackle this high energy taking task early morning before I get to work, so that I'm fresh and I'm ready to go and I'm giving all I have. And then I go through the work, give all I have. But then when I get home, I'm drained and it doesn't matter. I've completed my tasks and I've worked around this issue of having no energy. So that's how you are gonna get started. Number 2 is picking up after you mess up. I would also call this a identity shift. See, one of the major reasons why people would have a hard time starting is we just getting started. But the people who end up getting started would then come to the next hurdle, which about 90% of the people who get started will hit, is you mess up and you don't know what to do after that. And that's when you start a vicious cycle where you will be on a guilt trip, and then the whole idea of self-sabotaging and then just doing the wrong things because you're guilty about not doing the right things, and then you feel bad, so you need a little dopamine hit, and you just keep doing bad things for that little dopamine hit, and then you just keep going. And on top of that, the more you do bad things, the more you feel worse, and the more you need bad things to cover up that pain, and it's just a bad cycle. However, this all begins, and it's again what I understood with paying more attention and trying to understand why am I doing what I'm doing, and the way I look at things. And I realized self-discipline is something I've associated for a long time, not with love and respect, rather with a little bit of frustration, and rather with a little bit of irritable action. It's similar to someone having to pick up their dog's poop. Like, nah, it's similar. It's not the same, but it's close enough. Yeah, but yes, my point is, people would look at self-discipline as something that is a chore, something they have to just do. Just the same as some people look at their job, like they hate it, but they just go because they want to make some money. But if that's how you look at self-discipline as well, think about how your mind is working. Your mind is picking up on the things that you're thinking, and you look at, and the way that the perception you have about it. And the moment you tell yourself like, yeah, self-discipline, your brain picks it up and then start to run programs in the subconscious mind so that it can help you see it that way. So everything about self-discipline and this whole idea just makes you think you just don't like self-discipline at all, which is why you would end up saying things like, it's just restraining me a lot. I don't like to have that kind of things. I don't want to do things that way. I want to enjoy my life. This is not the way to do things. This and that. We find many reasons why self-discipline is not right. However, by having a little shift of my understanding, I know why I'm doing this now. After that understanding of why I'm doing this, I looked at what self-discipline doing for me. It's actually helping me achieve my goal. So every single time I have to, instead of binge watching, sit down and do my project, well, that's actually helping me. It's for myself, for everybody who I'm doing this for. So self-discipline is actually on my side, not on the other side. It just shift my mindset to, wow, why do I have to do this? Like, I want to do this. This is actually going to help me to go where I'm trying to go. This is actually going to take me where I'm supposed to go. And this understanding of, wow, it is for me. And I am doing this so that I can be the better version of myself, so that I can give more to everybody, including myself. So this is a method of me loving myself. That's self-discipline. Then the understanding of that is what self-discipline stems from actually helped me to shift the idea of someone is forcing or something that I need to force myself to do. I'm willing to do it. So my friend, that is number 2. The perception that you need to change so you understand how you can pick yourself up when you have a mess up. And just to add to that same point, so when you have this identity shift and you understand this is a form of loving yourself, imagine you actually go through something and you have to drop out of it. You wouldn't feel like you just was trying to do something that is outside of yourself, and you get out of it so that next time you have to go back to doing what you're supposed to do for yourself, self-discipline included, you won't feel like I have to force myself to do this again. You would rather feel the opposite, where when you're loving yourself, you understand the self-discipline version of you is actually you, and you love that and you want to do that, and you understand the purpose of doing this and your why and how it aligns. The moment you have to get out of it, any reason, it could be work, it could be family emergency, it could be anything, and you mess something up and you couldn't finish what you're supposed to finish for yourself. But when it's time for you to come back, you wouldn't look at it and go, to do that again. It would more be like, fantastic, I get to go back to being who I am, where I'm comfortable, where I'm doing something that is purposeful. So that shift would help you actually get yourself back up, even when you mess up, and just keep going long term, understanding you're not trying to be perfect in whatever you're doing. You're just trying to perform and be consistent. Number 3 is sacrifice for betterment. So if you've been through this whole 2 steps where you will now understand your deep why, and you know who you're doing this for, and you have understood and starting to align yourself with the self-discipline version of you, and you feel as you're loving yourself, and self-discipline is a form of loving yourself. Fantastic. Now the next step is the actual sacrifices you're going to have to make, which are going to be sweet now because you understand what you're doing. For example, in my case, it was the whole step that I talked to you about, where I had to sleep earlier and wake up earlier. And in this situation, there might be people who are like, I'm not an early riser. I'm not somebody who wants to sleep early because I'm a night owl. Or it could be the other way around. You wake up early, but you feel like you have to start work early, so therefore you don't have much time in the afternoon. There's no way for me to do this. Well, the reality is, once you understand why you're doing this for, and you can align yourself with why and how and exactly what this whole process is, it will be easier for you to make a sacrifice, whether it is to sleep early or whether it is to stay up late. No matter what actually aligns with your timetables and you must do, given situations, you will do it. Because this is a sweet sacrifice that you need. And having those understandings and knowing who you really are, you will have a better time actually making sacrifices. And I think sleep and food is something really underrated when it comes to self-discipline. I believe self-discipline, when it comes to physical terms, sleep gives you a big boost. You need to have that sleep, whether it is, I do not know how many hours of sleep is the recommended. I'm not going to talk about it, but for me, I know what works. I know how many hours actually makes me feel good, recovered. So I always aim for that hours of sleep. I think it is as important as doing the work and good food. I've been trying to change my diet. I've been adding good things and having good healthy items added to my daily nutrition, and it's actually helping me with feeling better, energy-wise, strength, body, the joints, the refreshed feeling. There's so many things that's going to be added by having good food and having good sleep. So add those two, and don't look at those things or having to do those things. Don't look at how you're gonna have to sacrifice something you found tasty as a junk food, or the fact that you want to binge watch till late night. Don't look at those things as the best things, which are short-term pleasures, and then these long-term goals that you're trying to achieve. Don't look at them as a chore. As you're allowing yourself, understand these are for the betterment of you, and those things that you're doing for short-term, the fact that you're gonna have to let them go is a sweet sacrifice. The moment you can change your perception and you can understand it in your head that this is for your betterment and you're doing a sweet sacrifice, everything will change. So my friend, let's do a quick recap. Step number 1 is getting started. Step number 2 is picking it up after a mess up. Step number 3 is sacrifice for betterment. As we discussed, getting started is about the environment, understanding your why and what time you want to do it. And picking it up for after a mess up is simply about the identity shift you can have, and that how that is going to help you to love yourself, and then loving self-discipline, and how that would translate into becoming easier for you to get back into what you're doing even if you have a mess up. Number 3 is sweet sacrifice, obviously based on the first 2 steps. Sweet sacrifice is when you understand what you're doing, how you're doing it, and the sacrifices you have to do to practically make things happen. That is it from me, my friend. So if you found this episode helpful, and if it helped you become a high performer just a tad bit than before, give me a thumbs up, subscribe so that I can bring you more episodes in the coming week with more valuable content. And just like every week, I would like to mention, I'm going to put a TikTok summary. Therefore, you can in the future look at the TikTok summary first and decide if the episode is watch worthy. What is watch worthy? Worthy your time, and then you can decide to look at the full episode. Also, I'll be posting the same episode on Spotify, so next time if you want to just listen to the audio version, you can do it right there. So until next week, my friend, stay safe and keep sculpturing your mind.